CPD policy that has been developed for the institution. So it's important that we partake so that we also, get to know what the policy is about. And so our CPD for this month is on the topic ethics, legal responsibility, and professional conduct in surveying. And if you were singing out, and we would see that it stresses so much on integrity, ethical behavior, development, sustainability, excellence leadership. And so as an institution, it's important that we, once a while, go through what is ethical, get to understand the legal responsibility that is bestowed on us as professionals, so that we would become rare professional practices. And so this CPD will be very, very important for us. So will be very, very important for us. So we want to start by calling on our speakers. We have two speakers for today. The first is our very own Surveyor Patrick Soja-Botwe, Esquire, and then our lecturer, Surveyor Reverend Dr. Emmanuel Akrofi. So they would take turns to take us through what they have for us. And after that, if you have any questions, we can put them in the chat box. We can lift our hands, and then we'll go through the question time. So thank you once again for joining. And I want to invite our speakers for today. I think we'll start with Surveyor Patrick Soja-Botwe, Esquire. So, lawyer, please, you have the floor now. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Host. It is a privilege to come your way again by way of this CPD. It is my hope that by the end of this conversation, we are all going to be beneficiary of what we have prepared for you. I want to thank the CPD committee for coming out with this topic and for choosing myself and Dr. Akrofi to spearhead this topic. First and foremost, I want us to begin what we are doing today on these four premises. We are looking at the legal responsibilities of surveyors in Ghana. And I want us to begin our conversation on four premises. The first premise is that nation states are governed by laws. Nation states are governed by laws. The second is that the law is everywhere and nobody can escape the law. The third premise is that the law, as we see it, has the power of definition. And this is the greatest power on earth. The final premise that I want us to video. The final one is that the law uses its power of definition to assign roles, obligations, liabilities, and everything to people. So as surveyors, it is the law that has made us to be surveyors. And because the law recognizes us as surveyors, the law gives us some obligations. It gives us some responsibilities. It gives us rights, and it gives us opportunities. So it is very important for us to know the laws regulating surveying and what is required of us to perform our job as surveyors to help in the development of our nation. And so I hope we will all, with rapt attention, listen to the conversation, and at the right time, we come to ask questions if we don't understand anything, so that we will move ahead as one. And so, like I said, the topic for me is the legal responsibility and professional conduct in surveying, promoting integrity, accountability, and professional excellence in surveying practice. But I will be taking the legal section, and then later on, Dr. Akrofi will come on with the ethics and professional practice section. Again, I want us to take this guiding principle. As surveyors, we are professional. And as the saying goes, every professional surveyor is accountable not only to his clients. As a surveyor, what we know is that we get engaged by clients. But I want you to know from today that we are not only accountable to our clients, but we are also accountable to the law. I've just told you that the law is everywhere. Nobody can escape the law. And so the first accountability goes to our clients, all right, because they give us the money. But we are also accountable to the law. The third accountability is that we are accountable to our profession, the surveying profession. And then the fourth accountability is accountability to the public. So these four in one makes us who we are as surveyors and allows us to perform our jobs. But we must know that we are performing these jobs under the umbrella of laws. And so the objective that we are going to look at is that we will examine the legal framework which governs surveying practice. We must understand the duties that have been imposed on us by law. We must appreciate the consequences of non-compliance with these laws. And then we must know that our role is to promote lawful and professional practice. And then we will end with thanks and questions. So, what are the sources of the laws that regulate our practice? The first source, as we should all know, is our Constitution, the 1992 Constitution. It is a constitution that gives us the power to operate as surveyors. The Constitution has been touted as the supreme law of the land. And because of that, any law which is not in consonant with the Constitution, to that effect, is null and void. So everything must be linked to our Constitution. And in the Constitution, we have the natural justice and administrative fairness, which controls all the activities. For example, we have the Aldi Autorem Partem rule, which allows everybody to be heard. And we have the other natural justice rule, which says that you cannot be a judge in your own court. Again, there are statutory sources, and the most important of them are the Land Act 2020, Act 1036. I believe we all know the act. It has several provisions which regulate our laws or our practice. Again, we have the Lands Commission Act, the Survey Act, and then survey regulations. There is also the Evidence Act, and then we have the ADR Act. All these are statutes which regulate our practice. Don't let us forget that. We shouldn't forget that I say the law is everywhere and no one can run away from it. Other sources are, for example, contract law, tort law, common law principles, and professional rules and regulations. We have the GHIS, which have ethical rules and regulations, all in a bid to control our operations. I said contract law because once you are engaged by a client, there is a contract between you and the client. You as a surveyor you are required to perform services to that client. But like I said, it is not only service to the client, but it is also service to the law, service to the profession, and service to the public. So these are some of the functions we practice. One is ownership of land, boundary determination, registration of interest in land, judicial proceedings, public administration, and what I view. And so the surveyor, as an officer of the law, is required to give legal expectations. You see, we are required to give legal expectations. We go to court to help judges in coming up with determination of cases. We are the professional land surveyors or surveyors. And so the judges depend upon us in order to arrive at their decisions. Therefore, what we give to the judges must be accurate. We must do our work with impartiality, and we must do our work with honesty and integrity. So the legal requirement of a surveyor is that you must exercise the skill and care which is expected of you. And this includes having or taking proper field observations, adequate checks and computations, and all this must be in compliance with accepted standards. When we fail to abide by these accepted standards, we may, as a result, fall foul of professional negligence claims. There may be disciplinary proceedings against us, and there may also be civil liability charges against us. So on the duty of accuracy, we must make sure the survey plans that we produce, we know that the survey plans become legal documents which are used at the courts. And so we must ensure that the coordinates we use are accurate, we get correct dimensions, we get proper monumentation, and then reliable computations. All this have been put together in order to guide our performances as required of us. The legal consequences of inaccuracy. When we fall foul, we produce plans which are not legal. What we are doing to ourselves and to the public is that we get invalid transactions where a landowner who is desirous of selling land to somebody because of your activity as a surveyor, giving them inaccurate plans, you will end up having boundary disputes, court actions, and all this results in financial losses to both parties and even to the state. Again, as surveyors, we are required to be independent and then to be objective. We must remain independent because what the work we do is a very delicate work. Once we perform our functions right, there is no way we will be getting land disputes in the courts as they appear. About 80 to 90% of litigation are on land, and our courts are choked. Our courts are choked, and I believe strongly that we as surveyors have a major role to play in decongesting the courts by performing our role as surveyors perfectly. We are required not to conceal material facts. Before we certify plans, we must make sure the plans are accurate, and so we need not certify inaccurate plans. The legal importance is that professional judgment must not be compromised by personal interest. And on duty of confidentiality, as surveyors, we frequently receive a lot of information, classified information from our clients. And all these are supposed to be kept in confidentiality. You don't go disclosing what a client has told you to third parties. When you do that, you will fall foul of the law. So, like I said, the legal obligation is that all informations you obtain during your professional engagements must not be disclosed without lawful authority. In fact, there are times that you will be required by law to disclose those information. Those are the exceptions. But apart from that, you are required not to disclose classified information unlawfully. On contractual liability of surveyors, as surveyors, we must perform only agreed services. And when performing those services, we must exercise due care. We must complete assignments within reasonable time, and we must try to meet our professional standards. A breach of these requirements will alternatively lead to damages, to contract termination, to even legal actions against you. I mentioned negligence. As surveyors, when we fail to exercise reasonable professional care, we are touted or we are said to be negligent. And some of our negligences will lead to incorrect boundary placement, computational errors, and failures to verify control points. When we talk about negligence, what are we talking about? We, as surveyors, we owe our clients a duty of care. And that duty is that we must provide them with accurate plans that they can use to register their lands. When we fail to give them accurate plans, it means that we have neglected in the duty that we owe them, or we have breached that duty. And as a result of that breach, the client may suffer damage. The damages they suffer may not be immediate. Some will take 10, 20 years before somebody will come up and claim that the land on which he or she is does not belong to him. This will send them to court, and that is where those damages begin. And this may be the result of your past 10 years work that you did. You may have chopped the money long time, but 10, 15, or 20 years later, you will be faced with such problems. And so it pays to get it right from the beginning. On liability for false certification, as surveyors, I know our signatures on plans carries a lot of legal significance. So as surveyors, we must never sign work which we have not personally supervised. We must not certify inaccurate surveys, and we must not endorse false information. See, we must restrict ourselves from doing this. We must not permit misuse of professional seal, the possible consequences being like the previous one: civil liability, criminal prosecution, and professional sanctions when we do this. So I mentioned that as surveyors, we are sometimes called upon to go to court and serve as court witnesses. This is a legal obligation, and it helps in determining boundary disputes and land disputes to a large degree. And so when we are called upon, we must make sure we exhibit such functions to the best of our ability. As surveyors, we have been trained with special skills, and we must make those skills come to bear in our deliberations or in our work as court as witnesses or court experts. In doing so, like I said earlier, we must make sure the jobs we produce are accurate, they fall within our professional independence, they are truthful, because before you submit your composite plans, you swear an oath, and you don't swear an oath and later found to be lying. When you do that, you can be charged easily for perjury, and perjury is a criminal liability. So, as I've been saying all along, we bear these legal responsibilities. We are not to conduct impartial investigations. We must report on facts accurately, and we must avoid partisan conduct. And we must help to assist in discovering the truth. Because professional misconduct may attract a reprimand, suspension, withdrawal of practicing privileges. And when you do that, you know the consequences. We can even be removed from our professional register or from regulatory bodies, the Ghana Institution of Surveyors, the Lands Commission, relevant statutory authorities, and what have you. So the legal risk management for surveyors is that we must maintain accurate records. We must keep field notes safely. In fact, the Data Protection Act mandates that mandates us to keep records for 6 years. Within that period, you are legally required to keep all records that you have worked on. And when you destroy some records within, you fall foul of the law and you can be sanctioned for it. So we must try as much as possible to undertake continuous professional development, CPD, and that is exactly what we are doing today. And I will urge the organizers to continue to promote these professional development exercises. We must also learn to follow approved procedures, obtain proper instructions, document our decisions, avoid conflict of interest, and maintain professional indemnity protection. Like they say, prevention is always better than litigation. So let us consider this question. Can a surveyor escape liability by claiming that he merely followed the instructions of his client or employer? Can we do that? The answer to this is a big no. We can never escape liability by claiming that we only followed the instructions of our client. Like I said, although we owe a duty to our client, we also equally hold duty to the law, duty to the profession, and then duty to the public. So once your client wants to lure you into committing an error or into committing a crime, know at the back of your mind that you are also equally accountable to the law, the profession, and the public. And so you desist from doing what the client tells you to do, which you know that it is illegal. So in the beginning, I talked about this guiding principle that as surveyors, we are accountable not only to our clients, but also to the law and to the profession and to the public. I want us to dilate more into that and see how we can perform that. So how can we be accountable to our clients? The surveyor is first engaged by the client. We all know that. And therefore, we owe contractual and professional duties to the client. And these include performing the work with reasonable skill and competence. We must also act diligently and professionally, providing accurate survey information and maintaining confidentiality and protecting the client's lawful interest. However, the surveyor's duty to the client is not absolute. Like I said right now, a client cannot lawfully require a surveyor to falsify measurements, manipulate coordinates, alter boundaries, or certify inaccurate plans. A surveyor must remember that the client, although the client pays for professional service, the client pays for professional service, but the clients cannot purchase professional dishonesty. Accountability to the law. A surveyor must operate within the framework of constitutional, statutory, and common law obligations. These are the sources of law that I went through earlier on. And so, as a surveyor, you must comply with land legislation. I talked about the Land Act 2020, Act 1036. We have survey laws and regulations. We have environmental regulations, and then we have anti-corruption laws. We must make sure we comply or try not to violate any of these laws. We must make sure we are professionally disciplined. For example, if a surveyor deliberately prepares a false cadastral plan to facilitate land fraud, compliance with a client's instruction, in compliance with a client's instructions, you will not excuse liability, like I said. Now we have accountability to the profession. Surveying is a regulated profession that depends heavily on public confidence. And so every surveyor is a representative of the profession. And we must try to uphold the standards, values, and reputation that requires of us. This means we must be compliant with our professional rules and codes of conduct. We must also learn to respect our fellow practitioners, because respect to each other is vital in every professional organization. We must adhere to established procedures. We must have respect for constituted professional authority, and we must be participation in continuing professional development and all that. As such, surveyors must avoid conduct that brings the profession into disrepute. Like I said, if one surveyor commits an offense, it touches on all other surveyors. So professional accountability, therefore, extends beyond our individual practice and embraces collective responsibility for maintaining the dignity and credibility of our profession. Accountability to the public. This is perhaps the most important aspect of the principle. As surveyors, we perform functions that affect property ownership, boundary determination, land registration, infrastructure development, public planning, and resolution of disputes. The public relies on us as surveyors to provide accurate and trustworthy information. An inaccurate survey plan can result in wrongful loss of land, costly litigation, failed investment, social conflict, and public distrust. Consequently, as surveyors, the surveyor's ultimate responsibility is to protect public interest. What this means is that as a surveyor, we must never sacrifice truth, accuracy, and professional integrity merely to satisfy a client, an employer, a colleague, or political authority. The surveyor's paramount duty is to safeguard the public interest, and this we must take very serious. Suppose a client discovers that the actual surveyed boundary is smaller than expected and requests the surveyor to adjust the coordinates to include an adjoining parcel. Will you do that? Are you going to do that? Or you will remember your obligation to the other facets of the law, the profession, and the public? And so we know that we have a duty to the client. Our duty to the client is to provide competent service, period. So we must learn, or we must try to provide competent service. Once your service is competent, that is it to the client. And to the law, we must refuse any unlawful alterations. To the profession, we must learn to uphold professional standards. And to the public, we must learn to protect the true owner and maintain confidence in our land records. The correct professional response is to refuse the request, regardless of the financial consequences. And so, in conclusion, the principle teaches us that a surveyor is not merely a technician who only takes measurements. The surveyor, one, is a professional who has been entrusted with responsibilities that extends beyond private interest. A professional surveyor must therefore constantly ask these 4 questions. 1, is my action fair to my client? Because you owe the client a duty. So is my action fair to the client? Secondly, is my action compliant with the law? Is my action compliant with the law? Thirdly, is my actions consistent with professional standards? And then fourthly, is my actions protective of the public interest? It is only when the answer to all these 4 questions is yes, big yes, that can the surveyor truly claim to have acted professionally and legally. A legally responsible surveyor is the one who understands the law, is the one who complies with professional standards, is the one who maintains competence, is the one who acts honestly and independently, and the one who protects public confidence. The surveyor's first protection against liability is to adhere to the law and professional standards. On that note, I want to thank you for your rapt attention. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, lawyer. We are most grateful. Thank you so much. So what we'll do is that we'll move to the next presenter, whilst we will let you put your questions in the chat box if you have any. And then once we are done, we'll take all of questions to go. And then we can also take any question that you have as well. All right. So we would call on Reverend Dr. Akrofi, Severe Reverend Dr. Akrofi. If you are here, you can take over.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'll need a few seconds to upload my slides. Yeah.
That's okay. Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope we are all doing fine. I am looking at ethics and professional conduct in surveying. I think lawyer has laid a very good foundation, and I'll just straight go into it. He's hammered on a lot of points that we have a collective responsibility and we are accountable to the public. So why is ethics and professional conduct important for us as surveyors. Ethics are a set of principles that guide conduct. It provides guidance by defining bad or good behavior. And it has to do with integrity, our moral principles, honesty, what is right, what is wrong, fairness, and responsibility, among other things. So that is ethics. So, and a profession is an occupation that requires specialized education and training to get a special body of knowledge. Normally, members of a profession apply this special body of knowledge through special set of skills. And members of a profession ought to be loyal to the profession, and most importantly, we ought to self-regulate. So, for every profession, not only for our surveying profession, there are important traits that each profession has. One of them is work autonomy, then the possession of a special body of knowledge, then possession of special skills. We also have specialized education. And then we ought to be loyal to our professional community. And the last one, and very also important, is the act of self-regulation. What we are saying is that because of our body of knowledge, we need to work autonomously. Without any supervision. And we also have training that is very rigorous. And our learned friend said that we ought to be accountable to the public and to one another, because if you misbehave as a surveyor or a professional, it affects the whole community. So therefore, there is a close link between ethics and profession. Normally, a profession is dedicated to learning a special skill or occupation. If you call yourself a professional, then you have a paid work that requires specialized skill and qualification. We as surveyors have that. Most of us have gone through rigorous education. We have the skills, we have the qualification. But most importantly, professionals have what they call code of ethics to guide their practice. Of course, because of the public image, our salaries or remunerations are high. And this high pay is because of our specialization and our education. Of course, if you talk of occupation, there can be somebody who has also been trained 4 years geomatic engineering. He will practice without a code of conduct. He will not want to join any professional association. Such a person is practicing an occupation because he's not under any obligation. He's not under any association. He's accountable to himself. He does what he wants to do at any time. And because of that, normally, their pay is not as heavy as that of the professional. Now, what is the link between ethics and professionalism? The link between ethics and professionalism is self-regulation. Professions often desire to self-regulate, and it's also very important to self-regulate from practical reasons, some of which our learned friend, the lawyer, has given us. We're saying that we have a special body of knowledge, and then we possess special skills. We are specialists. We have special education. And so it will be very difficult for somebody outside our profession to come and regulate us. So it's for our benefit that we self-regulate ourselves. And that is very, very crucial for every profession. So all we're saying is that we need to self-regulate for our own good as professionals and for the good of the public. So we all need to come together and then do this self-regulation. We cannot do it as individuals, because if we call ourselves professionals, anything we do may bring disrepute to our profession. So it's very important that we come together as professionals. Now, you all agree with me that even though we all studied the same course, we have different approach. We came from different backgrounds. Our ethical values are different. So if we don't come together and agree on a code of conduct, then we will always, by our own individual ethical standards, bring the profession to disrepute, because what is right for A may not be right for B. And if A thinks that is the way to go, and B thinks otherwise, there will be chaos in the profession. So there is a need for a code of conduct for all of us to agree and work together so that we will promote the image of the profession, and then our clients, and then, more importantly, the public. One of the most visible signs of possible corporate commitment to ethical behavior is a written code of ethics, as I've already emphasized. And that's what GHIS has. And we are all supposed, if we call ourselves professionals, we are all supposed to abide by this. The code of ethics dictates our conduct. It dictates our how we treat the environment, our clients, and the public. Now the question is the land surveyor a professional? Does the public view the land surveyor as a professional? Do the courts view the land surveyor as a professional? And most importantly, does the typical land surveyor, professional land surveyor, view himself or herself as a professional? Land surveyors are often reprimanded for performing substandard surveys. Most people are fined for unprofessional conduct. These are unprofessional practices. And if we do this, we bring our profession to disrepute. So we need to behave ourselves. And like we said, whatever one of us do, it affects the whole profession. Sometimes the name of the person who had wronged the community will not even be mentioned, but it will be generalized to the whole community. Now, there are some principles of being a professional. Professional stature cannot be attained by self-proclamation. I can't stand somewhere and say, oh, I've studied geomatic engineering 4 years. I've done some practical trading, so I am a professional. It must be earned, and others must bestow the title on the professional. So, apart from the fact that we have distinct education, we have skills, we also have to belong to an association or organization who has a well-defined code of conduct so that we can manage each other. We are all working together. We are each other's keeper. So it is unprofessional to act in any manner or engage in any practice that will tend to bring discredit on the honor or dignity of the surveying profession. I think Leonard Friend discussed that. So we have duties. I think this one also he elaborated on that. You have duty to the public. And I must say our first and foremost duty is to the public, not to our clients, but the public. Surveyors must ensure that we protect public interests. So, look at what is happening in Accra. We are the first professionals to go on site if there should be any development. And if we also have to be the last to go and
Hope you have rested now.
Sorry? Okay, so surveyors must ensure that their work promotes public safety, welfare, and development of the society. We should avoid practices that endanger public or cause disputes. So I've always been emphasizing, your chief will tell you, oh, this one is supposed to be a recreational ground. Let's subdivide and let them give you a percentage. Then we call ourselves professionals and we go and do that. I'm glad a lawyer emphasized that you can't blame the chief, that the chief asked me to do it. You are the professional. You are supposed to advise the chief. So we owe it a duty to the public. Accuracy and reliability in our survey work, because we are supposed to be experts and the public hold us in high esteem. They expect that we will give our best, whether it's map making, cadastral survey production, engineering surveying, or whatever it is that we are tasked to do. We should do it competently. And I think the next point, our learned friend also emphasized that compliance with laws and regulations. Our Survey Act says if you are surveying a site, plant pillars, depending on what type of work you're doing, maybe type B, type C, or even type A. And most surveyors go to the field and they plant cassava or something that is in contravention with the law. If we are professionals, we should read and know our laws governing our profession, and we should practice that as such. I think, again, lawyer has given us a lot of the laws that we need to look at. Environmental responsibility. Surveyors should conduct their activities in ways that protect the environment and support sustainable land use and development. It's a pity that most Ramsar sites have been converted to residential. And again, the blame comes squarely on us and other built-up professionals. Because we go there, we survey, they get their plans, and they are able to get permit to do whatever. Well, I don't know whether they get it through the right sources or not. But again, we can't say we are innocent of what is happening. We are part to be blamed. Then, of course, part of our duty to the public is promotion of professional integrity. Surveyors must uphold honesty, fairness, and ethical conduct in their dealings with the public. We should avoid corruption, fraud, and acts that may damage public confidence in our profession. Earlier, I said the high salaries we are receiving is because of the public confidence they have in us. And if we destroy that, we are digging our own graves. We play very important role in society. And we can do this by ensuring accurate land information, protecting public welfare, and promoting ethical professional practices. So our conduct should be characterized by objectivity, intellectual honesty. I think here again, first speaker had emphasized that. Our first and foremost duty is to serve the public. That is for emphasis. Improve the quality and availability of professional services. And bear in mind the foreseeable effect that our professional activities may have on society. And then we ought to promote education and information. So these are some of the things that we need to do. Apart from our duty to the public, we also owe a duty to our client. Again, the first speaker mentioned most of these things already. So we are supposed to perform our work with knowledge, because we should remember we have a body of knowledge nobody else in our communities or society have. We are the technical expert, so we should work with accuracy and diligence. We are expected to apply our standards and ensure reliable results. Again, the first speaker emphasized that, so I need not. Then, duty of honesty and integrity. Service with integrity. We claim that's our motto. But are we living by that as surveyors? Surveyors must be truthfully and ethically in all our dealings with our clients. We should avoid fraud, misrepresentation, falsification of data, or misleading professional advice. Again, first speaker emphasized all this. And then information obtained from clients during professional work must be confidential. Again, our first speaker emphasized that. So we shouldn't disclose any information unless we are legally bound to do that. I think he talked of duty of loyalty and avoidance of conflict of interest. We should avoid conflict of interest. If you think what don't use your position for your advantage and do anything that is unprofessional. And then most important also is the fact that the public and our client expect us to provide accurate and timely services. So it's up to us to take assignments that we are able to handle within the specified period the client is looking for. Otherwise, we'll disappoint them and discredit not only ourselves, but also our profession. Sometimes you work for a client and he wants to have a second opinion. And surveying is a science. If you have done the right thing, any other person who comes doing the right thing, you will end up with the same results. So we shouldn't refuse that. We should encourage them so that they will have confidence in us. They know you did this, a second person, if he needs a second opinion and he had paid you, you have no quarrel with him. Let him do what he wants. We should endeavor, therefore, to establish a relationship of mutual trust between us and our clients. Then we also have a responsibility or obligation towards our profession. We've said that we are together in this because one surveyor errs and all of us are blamed. So land surveyors must maintain honesty, integrity, and fairness in all our professional activities. We should always follow our code of ethics. And then, of course, as a duty to our profession, we should be competent in whatever we do. If you are not competent in the area the clients need the services, you have a lot of mates who may be able to do it. We should be humble enough to ask the client, consult or contact this or that person who is better able to deliver in that specific area. So we should make sure we do that. Then respect for each other. Respect for each other. We should treat other professionals with respect. We should avoid unfair criticism. That's killing our association. And encourage cooperation within the profession and even other professionals. We should respect each other. It's important. If you want to build our profession, then we should work together with respect. We've talked of professional standards. So it's an obligation. If you do shoddy work, you are not only infringing the laws, you are bringing the profession to disrepute, and we will give way for outsiders to come and regulate our profession. Already we've said that we need to come together to self-regulate ourselves. If we are isolated, we are working as individuals, then we can't self-regulate ourselves. So we'll go with our various moral philosophies, and that will be a discredit to our profession. We should protect the reputation of our profession. Surveyors should avoid misconduct, fraud, negligence, and corrupt practices. that may bring our profession to disrepute or reduce public confidence in us. And a land surveyor or professional land surveyor, we also must contribute to the development of our profession by sharing our knowledge. We are grateful to a lot of you who take students from the various institutions for their internship. Because we keep on taking the students, every year they will be coming. Please don't be fed up with us. See it as an obligation that you are building a future for your profession. So not only that, we should also contribute in various committees in GHIS. We know our institution is a non-profit making organization, and we need volunteers to hold the fort for our profession. I think I'll end here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Surveyor Dr. Kofi. Thank you so much for your presentation. And thank you to all the two speakers for the presentation. I think now the floor is open. We have a question in the chat box, but while I read that, if any other person has a question, if you can raise your hand and speak, or you can put it in the chat box. So it's now question time, please. Okay, so let me read what I have in here. It is known fact that land belonging to public entities such as CSIR have been illegally or forcefully acquired by citizens and politicians in this country. In all those acquisitions, our respectable surveyors played key roles. My question is, what powers have the professional survey bodies got to deal with professional surveyors or licensed surveyors who were or are involved in those acquisitions? So I think the question would be to our speakers.
Okay. The question is, what powers has the professional survey bodies got to deal with professional surveyors or licensed surveyors who were or are involved in those acquisitions? So far as we've said that ethically we should do the right thing, and most of the time we don't stand for our right. If it's public land, then it means the Lands Commission is sanctioning the sale of it. But it's up to us to look at what had been planned for the area. We wouldn't say, they say we should survey, so I'm going to survey. Is the use in consonance with the land use of the area that had been gazetted? And I believe if we play our cards well and we advise our clients, they will hear. So I agree with you. We are part of the problem, but we should insist that the right thing be done. Sometimes we are afraid that you may lose your job or other surveyors will do it, but your reputation is at stake. 10, 20 years later, if this thing should go to court and you are found to be in the wrong side of the law, you'll be dealt with. So let's keep our reputation. I believe my brother will add something.
To add to what Doc said, I think we don't have stricter punishment regimes to punish surveyors who get themselves involved in fraudulent activities. And I believe that the passing of the Surveying Council bill will go a long way to check some of these excesses. Because as I have said, you as a surveyor owes a lot of responsibilities to other agencies. And we have learned today that the public, although we are engaged by clients, we should not dabble in activities that will get us involved in other criminal liability and things. So once we know that what you are about to do will land you in any adverse position later in life, you must adhere yourself from that. And like I said, if there are punishment regimes fair enough, you see, to tangle you when you fall foul, it is going to serve as a restrictive mode to stop us from engaging in such activities. Currently, like I said, we don't have such punishment regimes, and so people go scot-free. We get licensed surveyors signing plans that they have not supervised, and they go scot-free. The cases go to court. Even the court fails to call them to order to come and justify why they sign such things when the plans are found to be in conflict or in error. You see, but I believe once again that the coming into force of the Surveying Council bill will go a long way to check all these things, because in the Surveying Council bill, provisions have been made to sanction people, to send them to jail and all that, so that it will serve as a barricade or a stop from getting people to indulge in some of these things. This is what I'll add.
Hello.
Yes.
I believe our host might have gone off.
Oh.
Yes. So we are are you still here? Okay, so there are other questions. Let me attempt to step in for the meantime. There's another question on the platform which says, which law or act requires data to be kept for the specified number of years mentioned? There are other questions, if I should read all of them. I think there are 4. The next one is, data protection and security have a cost implication. How do we ensure cost is minimal for storing data beyond the period it is intended for? 3, for the surveyor, the data can be beneficial if there is future litigation and he needs it for defense or other purposes. Assuming after 7 years, that's 4. Assuming after 7 years, you want to dispose the data, is there any standard protocols? I'm asking because if by chance the data gets into a wrong hand, there will be implications. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. Number one, Akma, I think you will help me with the question. Let me start with the last one. I said the law mandates you to keep data for 6 years. And so if after 6 years, nothing holds you liable for destroying any data that has come within your purview. And there are ways. The same law. I told you that the law has a power of definition, and those powers, it uses the power of definitions to allocate responsibilities, rights, and what have you. And so it is the same law which mandates you to keep data for 6 years, which again allows you to destroy any data that falls within your hands after 7 years. And it has prescribed the way in which those data can be destroyed. Akman, help me with the other question.
Yes. In fact, all these 4 questions are coming from Surveyor Bright Nuhu. The first one is which law or act requires data to be kept for the specified number of years mentioned?
So it's the Data Protection Act.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then the 2 is data protection and security have a cost implication. How do we ensure cost is minimal for storing data beyond the period it is intended for?
Cost.
Yes.
You say, how do we do what?
How do we ensure cost is minimal for storing data beyond the period it is intended for?
No, you see, it is one thing knowing that you are required to keep data for this number of years. And
Yeah.
but they say that ignorance of the law is no excuse. It is when you don't know that you will tend to destroy data anyhow. But now you know that you are required to at least store the data that comes to you for a period of 6 years, after which it can be destroyed. And so knowing this, it should aid in your charges. If you know you have the obligation to keep the data for this number of years, what is it going to take you to do that? You incorporate these things into your charges, and I think you will be good to go.
Okay. I think number 3 doesn't look like a question. It says, for the surveyor, the data can be beneficial if there is future litigation and he needs it for defense or other purposes.
Yeah,
So
I think that
is a contribution.
that is very true. When the clients come back, you already have the data. You can use it to aid the client in any other way the client wants. So it's a plus for you.
Okay. All right. Any other question? So I have my own question. You talked about confidentiality, and I think that you have just been able to bring my mind on this thing. There many a time you work for somebody, and then maybe the person is a big man. You go about talking about it. Oh, I did a side plan for this man. I did this. You have really kicked something in my mind that is not something that is a good practice. But I want to find out if the site, a client asks you to maybe change boundary and you refuse, knowing the professional that you are, you refused. And if you are called in court and you are asked such questions, and you answer them affirmatively, will you be breaching the confidentiality between you and your client?
No, not at all. In fact, in as much as we are regulated by law, the law frowns on some activities like fraud, misrepresentation, and other things. And so even if you do any good thing, if you acquire, let's say, if you acquire a land today and it was acquired fraudulently, 20, 30 years time, if it is found out, you have gone ahead even to register it, you have your land title and all that. If it is found 20, 30 years time that you acquired that land fraudulently, there is a saying that fraud vitiates everything. You see, so they will use that element of fraud to nullify whatever you have done. And so if a client is aiding you or luring you into committing a crime and you refuse, no court is going to hold you liable for anything. You are going to be patted on the back for doing the right thing, rather, or for being professional. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we are Martin, please take over your mic.
Okay. Thank you so much. I see 2 hands up. So first, Sylvia Chairperson, you can speak.
Yeah, good evening, and thank you so much for the insightful presentations, our 2 speakers. So mine is also a question. I think it's from what someone asked earlier about a land. So let's say I am contracted by a client to say that come and do a topographical survey of a land for me. And then he just says it that, okay, I'm going to use this land to build, let's say, school hostels. Is it my mandate now to go to town and country planning or whoever is in charge to find out whether the land is going to be used for that purpose before I do the topographical survey for him? In that case, if he doesn't use it for that purpose and there's a problem, is it my fault? Is it a good question? I hope so. I think Esquire, you can help me with that.
Okay, so if I get your question right, you have been contracted by someone to do a topo, and you are asking whether it is your duty to go to the town and country planning or the assembly to check whether it conforms with the planning scheme. Is that the question?
Not necessarily with a planning scheme. So the person mentions to me that I would want to use that land for a school hostel.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my, probably that is not the intended use. Maybe it's supposed to be a free land where you plant gardens or what. But he says he wants to use it for a hostel. Is it my duty to go and find out whether that place is really supposed to be used for the hostel before I do his topo for him to be able to, for the maybe architect to do his design and all that? Is it my duty?
No. I don't think, no, it is not your duty. You are to provide him with the base map.
Okay.
See? And so once you have provided him with the base map, it now becomes his duty, his or her duty, to go to the planning session to check or to search on what zoning purposes that area has been zoned for.
Okay.
That will be the duty of your client and not you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. Sylvia Osman, you can unmute and speak.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity, and I thank the presenters for the wonderful work done. My issue is when institutions, the actions of institutions also aid in some of the wrongs. For example, the assemblies and let's say the Lands Commission or the district assemblies, if their activities or their actions also aid in some of the wrongdoings, how do we go about that? So, for example, a land is a state land, and somebody will survey the land for an individual, and the Lands Commission will approve that plan for whatever purposes that individual will use it for. It's like the commission has aided in the process. Or if it's about permit and the district assembly overlooked and grants the permit, in these two actions, it's like the institutions have contributed in the process. In this case, whether ethics or whether ethics or what will be the position? If lawyer can help us. Yes.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you, Doc. In fact,
Yes.
these things are happening. And just last week, I was at the High Court and come and see how the judge was wild on the Lands Commission. There was a case before him, and it happened that the Lands Commission has granted land title certificates to 2 different people over the same piece of land. You see, this is exactly what you are talking about. How can the Lands Commission grant 2 different title to 2 different people over the same parcel of land? And he said he has written to the authorities for them to hold the commission responsible, but nobody is acting. So it rests on our leaders, those who have been put in positions of trust, to act in some of these things. If there is something to bite such officials, I don't think they will be involving in such things. So in such a situation, you see, the notice have to be brought to the Lands Commission, and somebody must be held responsible, because before a certificate is signed and issued to someone, it passes through a lot of channels. And so if it happens that the same thing has happened to 2 different people, some heads must roll. And it is high time our leaders start to act. These things should not be allowed to go just like that. So we are all to blame. We all have to act, because we are all leaders. We have been entrusted with skills, knowledge, and what have you, to lead, to make Ghana a rightful place to live in. But what are we doing? We are all not acting. And it is now time for us to be acting through some of these interactions. Thank you.
All right, so Surveyor Gilbert. Your hand is raised if you can speak. Surveyor Gilbert. Okay. Any other question, please?
Hello.
So go on.
Hello. Sorry, my mic was disturbing me a little. So sorry. Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. So during the discussion, lawyer made our duty of confidentiality, right, with regard to sensitive geospatial data. So currently with the increasing use of I think drones, GIS, and cloud-based geospatial platforms. And even I think that I stand to be corrected though, but I think survey departments right now, the ELIS I think is connected or synchronized to the Google Earth. I stand to be corrected. I don't know if I'm right. I should be corrected. But then, so my point is that how are we going to protect sensitive geospatial data from unauthorized access, since there is increasing use of these new technologies such as GIS, drones, and cloud-based geospatial platforms, Google Earth and all that? So that's my question. And are there any legal frameworks backing it?
Yes, to answer your question,
Yeah.
there are legal regimes regulating any activity under this earth, like I said in the beginning.
Yes.
You cannot just get up, take a drone, and fly. There are
for sure.
aviation rules that you have to comply with. And so you will observe that there are times when you are flying and you don't have a permit to fly. They are
for sure.
able to trace you and then reprimand you. So
Yeah.
you just cannot come and then fly. You have to pass through a regime before you fly. And so everything moves in a regulated way. You see, every activity is regulated. And so once there is a regulation, there is a way to protect all the loopholes that are envisaged in most of these things. So I don't think security will be compromised in any way as a result of drone usage or what have you.
I think with drones, but with the Google Earth, since right now we are synchronizing most of our maps with the Google Earth, aren't people going to get access with our in-house data? That's where I'm also getting at.
Oh no, I don't think so, because if you are able to go through the regulations very well, no, I don't think something like this will happen.
Oh, okay.
Because before you are allowed to fly, you may have to satisfy all those regimes. You see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't know if we have any other question, but if there is no other question, then we will say thank you to our speakers. Oh, Bright. Okay. So I have
Yes, sir. In fact, there's no
Bright.
other question, but please.
Yes, please. Can
we have the slides?
Dr. Peter, then can we do it, Dr. Peter? Can we do it this order? Maybe Bright will speak, Dr. Peter, you speak, and then is it Kakari will also speak.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
I hope you can hear me.
Yes.
So the gentleman who just spoke, I don't know whether his question has been addressed well, but if I understood him, what he's trying to say is that there's what we call an overlay data, probably with a Google Earth, where you can put vector data on it, probably to look at how, let's say an overlay, how parcels are being displayed or how parcels are being collected and stuff like that. And I think his question is where Google Earth will have our data. I don't think Google Earth will have our data. It's just an overlay, how do you call it? A platform where you can superimpose your data on it for you to see how your data is faring on the Google Earth. So if I understand him, I think that is what I wanted to say with regards to the question he asked.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, and I also want to thank the presenters for wonderful presentations on the topic. Referring to the last question on Google Earth, if now we are over later on Google, are running that, we can make good use of Google Earth in surveys, especially in also I'd like to know if the presentation slides will be made available to us. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it Desmond? Yeah, Desmond. Yeah, Desmond, speak, and then we can wrap there. I think that's.
All right. Thank you very much. Please, I have a question. Okay. This is to our lawyer. These words may seem very simple, but I just want you to help me with the legal difference, and under which of these terms am I liable for criminal liability So the first one is professional. The first one is professional negligence. The second one is professional incompetence. The third one is professional misconduct. These three things. Which of this am I liable for criminal liability of these three things? So I want our Esquire to help me with this. What are the legal differences for professional negligence, professional incompetence, and professional misconduct as a surveyor? Thank you very much.
Okay, so let me see if I can be of help. Like I did mention in the presentation, when we talk of negligence, we are talking about a duty you owe to a person, and then you have breached that duty, and your breach has caused the person some damages, and for that matter, the law allows the person to sue you for the damage. You are talking about criminal negligence. When we mention anything concerning criminality, although you may be the complainant, you may not have a hand in the proceedings of any criminal liability. It is the state that takes over the prosecution of the case. And so you as a complainant may end up not getting anything. And so if you as a surveyor, you are charged with criminal liability over an act, and know that you can be charged over an act or an omission. That means refusing to act. You should have done this, but you refuse to do it. You can also be charged for that. You see? And so if you commit such acts or omissions, you can be charged. And if you are charged criminally, then, like I said, it is the state that will prosecute you. In the same issue can land you in criminal negligence. When we talk about negligence, we are talking about the area we call tort law, T-O-R-T law. In that case, you might have done the same issue. You must have committed the same thing. You have done the same thing, but the person who you wronged rightfully sue you for a tort, meaning that he is the one who will be, it's a civil liability. He is the person who will be suing you, and any damage that accrues will come to him or her. You see? And so in all the areas that you mentioned, criminal liability is out, because when it comes to crime, the law will deal with you, the state will deal with you. When we talk about negligence, like I said, it go to a civil suit, and it affects all the three, being a professional or being a surveyor, or it affects all the three areas. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
So please, what about incompetence? Who holds you for that incompetence?
Incompetence, more or less, you see, like Dr. Akrofi said, you must operate within the umbrella of a professional organization. And so when it comes to incompetence, it is more or less a disciplinary action that will have to come from the professional institution that you come under. And they can sanction you, your name can be removed from the register, and other punishments that can be meted out to you. Don't forget that when we are talking about criminality, you can't charge a person for a crime for which has not been prescribed, and the punishment for it and in law. You cannot. So if you say you are charging somebody for assault, the assault must be part of our laws. and the punishment for the assault must be written in our laws. It is then that you can charge somebody for that. So if there is no prescription of a kind of law or a kind of offense, and you say you are charging somebody for that, it is not allowed.
All right. Thank you so much. I think we'll take last two. There's a question that chat box. I'll read, and then there was a hand that was up. Surveyor Kakari, then we can wrap up. So the question is, can a surveyor define his own data retention policy? Can a surveyor define his own data retention policy? So we'll take that of Surveyor Kakari, and then you can handle the two for us. And I think that should be it. Yes, Surveyor Kakari.
Okay, so thank you very much, and I hope I am clear.
Yes.
So my question has to do with the cadastral system that we run, and I'm using a typical example of within the law. So if a client does a cadastral survey with the survey department, and then he's still in the process of trying to get all the signings done before he registers his document. Now, there is no information that is reflected in terms of search when it comes to the Lands Commission. So, in the light of concurrence and then encumbrances, if somebody's go and make a search on that particular piece of land, even though the person has done a cadastral at the survey and mapping division, which is also digitally available to the verified, the report is only limited to some sections within the commission, but it doesn't really reflect as to the activity that has happened, if that could influence any decision a client would make. That's my question. So I don't know where Yes, I don't know whether my question is clear.
No, somebody was talking from the background, so your question didn't come out clear.
Okay, sorry, but I hope now is better.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So my question was in respect to the cadastral system in Iran. So in the north, you go and pick and then you produce a cadastral plan, and the cadastral plan is used to prepare the indenture. Then the indenture, after all the signings is done, is gone for registration. So from the point of entry, that is the survey mapping division, the information that is entered there with the cadastral and everything, if you go and perform a search for the purposes of encumbrances and there's another term, the encumbrances, just to know what is happening on the land if you want to buy. The information does not reflect what has happened at the survey and mapping division. It only tells you some few information. So it's like there's a cutoff. So you cannot really tell at this point whether somebody has already done a cadastral on the plan, unless you go to do that backdoor at survey. But officially, you cannot be told whether somebody has done something on it or not. So that's my question. So whether in terms of legislation, encumbrances and encumbrances and concurrence, whether when you do a cadastral on a particular piece of land and there's a search at the Lands Commission for such an information relevant to somebody who is going to either buy or make other inquiries, such information is not captured. So I'm just saying, what could be the issue with that kind of system?
Okay, so if I understand you right, when buying a land, it is not only searches at the Lands Commission that you have to do. You see, the law is a prudent purchaser. And so after conducting a search at the Lands Commission, you even have to go further to testing the grounds. Go on the ground, talk to neighbors, and ask them of their experiences on the land that you are aspiring to purchase. You see? And again, you must conduct other searches, like a search at the Bank of Ghana, a search at the courts, to find out whether that piece of or parcel of land has been the subject of litigation or is a subject of litigation at the court, and other issues, or whether the land has been used as mortgage to take a loan from somewhere that you can get at the Bank of Ghana. They have a particular registry that does that. So you do all those things, and then when you are assured that there is nothing wrong with the land, you can go ahead and then get the land. So it is not only about cadastral plan. Because when the cadastral plan started, there has been services or purchases of land when there were no plans. You see, long, many years ago, there has been purchase. It is now that cadastral plans have come into play. And if you take the definition of a cadastral plan, it is only that it is signed by the director and signed by the director alone, or signed by the licensed surveyor and endorsed by the director. But if you compare a cadastral plan and a certified plan, all the two, their definitions tells us that you must be able
50 moments able
to redemarcate them on the ground. You see, meaning that you must capture data correctly, you must process the data correctly, and you must get a plan plotted accurately. You see, so if you have all these things in place, you do other checks and balances, and everything is okay, then you can go ahead. It's not only about cadastral plan, which is not registered at the Lands Commission or registered at the Lands Commission. No. I don't know whether I've answered your question for you, but this is what I can say.
Okay, thank you, Sylvia Patrick. I think there's a last question. Sylvia Butchie, there's a last question. Can a surveyor define his own data retention policy?
Oh, no, your own data retention policy. You don't work in isolation. You don't work in isolation. You work under a regime, a professional regime. So you must go under what the regime is saying when it comes to data protection. Maybe you may be advanced and you may be able to store your data digitally, or that is a plus. But by all means, there is a regime which regulates that data. You cannot say you are going outside that domain and then keep your data the way you like. There are defined boundaries as to how one may keep data. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the answers you've offered, explanations, and then also the presentation. And thank you for everyone for being part. I think that I will call on my chairman to take us through briefly what our policy, the new CPD policy, and then we'll be out of here. So, Soviet Akman.
Oh, okay, thank you. We have a CPD policy that has been drafted, and we are, as at now, is still a proposal. And so right after this meeting, we are going to share it for everybody to have a look and make input. So you may go through and then send your comments or whatever. You may put it on the platform, you may send it to me directly, or you may send it to any of the CPD committee members. It's not a lengthy one. I think it's about 2 or 2.5 pages. So you can go through, and then the next time that we meet, we want to do all the necessary, do all the considerations, compile everything. The next time that we have CPD, we will try to finalize it. It has become necessary that we do that at this point, since our mother body, GHIS, is drawing us along that line too. So at this point, allow me to take just 1 or 2 minutes to remind everybody that our usual LSD conference is coming on in August, and that is about a month and a half away. Though you have not seen any advertisement yet, but everything is being done and everything. And I think it's coming on in Accra, but expect publications and other things in the next few days or weeks. I don't think it will go more than a week. But the point is that I'm saying this for everybody to prepare so that it doesn't become like you have come late or something. And we're falling on most of you too for your small support that you have been giving for us in a form of a sponsorship for this program. So thank you so much for coming and for listening to today's CPD. Thank you. I think the chairperson is also around, so if you will give her the opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Tina.
Yes, good evening, everybody. I thank you all for stopping by for this very important CPD. So I think we are about to conclude for today. So my appreciation first goes to Surveyor Patrick Soja Esquire and then Surveyor Dr. Emmanuel Akrofi for their insightful presentations. I think today what we have learned is that our work is not only technical, but we are also grounded in ethics, responsibilities, and integrity. And as the moderator said, when we were singing our national anthem, I was happy that some of the words that we were mentioning in our national anthem were things that were going to be discussed this evening. So I'm very grateful that this has happened. More so also because these days there are so many things happening, and we would need as professionals to be people of integrity, and we should also be responsible for our actions. So every now and then, even though some of these things we know, we need to be reminded of it. And also sometimes the ones that we don't know and are not sure of, this evening we've discussed. So we've also learned a lot. I want to thank you all. Thank the CPD committee for this insightful program and all those who are involved. And to add a voice to my vice chair, our seminar is coming on soon in August, and please be prepared for something very nice, and prepare your pockets as well, so that we would have a good conference in August. Thank you all for coming. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Surveyor Dr. Tina. I think we will take our anthem again, and then we will take a closing prayer, and then we'll be out of here. So, Michael.
To
Shall we pray? Father, we are most grateful for today. We thank you, Father, for a time with us. We thank you for leading us and helping us have a very successful meeting. We pray that, Lord, you will strengthen us to also be impactful, even for the things that we have learned. We thank you so much. In Jesus' name do we pray. Amen. And I think we've shared a policy. We will share the slides also. Thank you so much for participating. Have a good evening.
Have a good evening as well.
Thank you.